My first threesome was me ending up in bed with one of my really hot besties and her boyfriend. And I have zero recollection of how we got there. It was not like none of the things that I would give guidance on now happened. We were in the bed and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here?
I'm Amy.
I'm April.
Certified sex educators, sexperts of the year, and best-selling authors.
And we're on a mission to help you have more spicy, connected, and amazing shameless sex. Welcome to the Shameless Sex Revolution.
We're so close, it's like we have our own language. We're making sex and relationships shameless.
To learn more, go to shamelesssex.com.
And for 15% off some of our favorite sex toys, use code SHAMELESSSEX at purepleasureshop.com.
You are listening to a pleasure podcast. For more from our sex podcast collective, visit pleasurepodcasts.com.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back to the Shameless Sex podcast. Guess what, Chip?
What?
Chicken butt. Just kidding. I'm 40 now.
I knew that.
I know, she was at my birthday and
It
she
was
made it
so
extra
fun.
special.
It was so fun. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
We did some celebrating.
I feel
like I'm still in recovery.
Yeah. We did. I'll just say I won't. We did celebrating in nature. And April put my face everywhere. It was like banners of Amy.
It was like a shrine to
and Amy cake.
Baby Amy pictures, though, were so cute.
Baby Amy.
How do you
eating
feel
snacks.
now that you're 40?
I feel great, other than hitting my tailbone on something and I have a bone bruise, and now I make the sounds as if I'm like 80, like, oh,
I know. You're like, I need to get some Advil. I was like, oh, babe.
I feel great. I feel very loved, and all the humans in my life are a big part of it, but you really made me feel so loved, Chip.
Well, I love you.
Do you remember the moment when I was holding you? I was like carrying you around.
Oh, yes.
And then some people we know, they were like, wait, stop. We want to take photos. And we're like, no, this is our moment. At least I said that.
You carry me around a lot.
I know.
Which is awesome. I appreciate that.
Chip and dip. And then we shared a room and we were going to sleep. It was quiet. And all of a sudden April's just like, shake and bake.
Yeah, I know. It was that perfect time.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
thank you for being born and being my sister, and for being my partner in all of this.
Yeah.
My non-sexual life partner.
This means we've known each other for 20 years.
I know.
We met when I was underage.
Yes, you were 20. You weren't underage. You were 20, under the age to drink in the USA.
Dang.
Well, I'm grateful. And
me too. I love you so much.
Which I'm super grateful for this episode.
Me too.
Because Darshana Avila.
She's
boss.
Yeah. She's boss. Yeah. Awesome. And we won't give away too many details. Listen. And so I know we just released an episode on Threesomes, everyone, with Reed Mihalko, the unicorn episode. And so this isn't us saying you should be non-monogamous. That's not what this is. Our thought is anyone, whether you're monogamous or non-monogamous, single, partnered, can learn from all of these episodes. And she's also talking about bi-curiosity, queerness, like all these different aspects of being a sexual human.
Have we ever shitted people into convincing them to be non-monogamous?
No.
I'm monogamous.
No. Yeah, you are. Yeah.
So I'm not going to shout out to be forceful of people being
you
non-monogamous.
Should all fuck all of your neighbors.
I'm always curious about what it looks like.
Are you bi-curious?
I am bi-curious. Well, no, not well. I've been bi-curious in the past. I've been bisexual. I've been full on just with a female-bodied human.
Yeah. You're definitely not like a fully straight person, but you're a pretty monogamous person.
I need a dick.
Yeah.
I do. And not
like
a silicone one.
I
love silicone products. Yeah. I just really like a flesh dick from my partner, like of now almost 8 years. Can you believe that?
I know.
Thanks
That's
for
awesome.
that introduction.
You're
too.
welcome. I tested him out first. I was like, girl, you got to try this.
It's been rocky, but it's been good.
One last thing about us. Remember at my birthday when someone came up to us and they were like, which one of you is like the sluttiest or like the whatever, like the wildest? And we both were like, huh,
yeah,
we are in different ways. Because I'm like the naked person running around in
yes,
non-monogamy,
asked, right?
And then, but
more
I was like,
wild sexually. That's what someone said. I think.
But
more
I was
wild.
like, April though, I'm pretty sure she gets hogtied and has anal sex like 10 times more than I do. So how do you define the wild, slutty person? And he was like, all right, and just walked away.
I do remember that. Right, yeah. I do remember that moment, and I said, well, Amy's kind of more. I think you're more adventurous when it comes to like pushing the boundaries of what sex is and what
I'm more
you'll
wild
do.
like outside the bedroom,
Right.
and you're a little more wild in the bedroom.
Yes.
All right, shake and bake,
Yeah,
girl.
shake and bake. All right. So
Anyways,
what do we have a lot of cool stuff coming up.
we have so many lovely opportunities. If you've been listening to our podcast regularly, and if you haven't, you should. I shoulded you. We have a retreat coming up. We won't say too much about it because we've talked about it in the past episodes, and all you need to do is go to shamelesssex.com.
What's that address again?
55555 shamelesssex.com, and all the info is there.
It's selling out. It's
It is.
more than half full.
Yep.
So there's not a lot of spots left. So definitely go to shamelesssex.com and look for the events and then look at the retreat section.
It's early May 2025.
It will
All
sell
the
out.
info will be there. It's only 3 nights. We hope you join us. It's for everyone, whether you're in a partnership, whether you're an individual, whether you want to come with your friend.
Come with your friend.
But also, and anal. Just kidding.
What about our
else is-
tour?
I
Our tour.
know.
Who's yo daddy, Amy?
So we have,
Can I be your daddy?
you can be my daddy.
Well, I will be on this tour.
All right, Daddy. So Daddy April and I are, Daddy and Mommy are doing another tour. We did this last year. Last year we went to Portland, Seattle, and Chicago, and we loved it so much. And people keep asking us, like, come to my city. So now we are doing another round in May 2025.
We have a ton of listeners in Austin and Dallas, and that's Texas, y'all.
and if you're San Antonio, you can make it to Austin. Just saying.
Absolutely. It's like an hour plus away. And Dallas, we have so much fun. Every time we go, we've been to Dallas a lot for other things.
And Austin. We always have
one
fun
of my
in Texas.
greatest friends, Aneros, he's been there,
Yeah.
lived there forever. Brent from Aneros, I can say his name. And
Yeah.
he lives there. So Brent, shout out to you.
And your awesome products.
And all of your drag queen friends, bring them to our show in Dallas and Austin. Go to shamelesssex.com. And then Santa Cruz. Shout out to Santa Cruz listeners. Are you there? Are you in there? Hello? Is this thing on? Are you there, Santa Cruz listeners?
We are in Santa Cruz, but are you listening? I love also how many friends come up and like, well, I listen to your podcast, but it's been a while. I feel bad. I'm like, that's fine. We're okay.
There's so much content.
But what you need to do is come to our show.
Come to our show. So it's in May, everyone. So go to shamelesssex.com, check the events. You can get tickets. There's VIP options. And who's your daddy? We're going to be your daddy. There's openers for each of the shows. They're different. And we're sponsored by Magic Wand for this. We're grateful.
If you get VIP, you get extra special.
You get a
things.
lot of free, awesome stuff. So
and it's edutainment. It's not just like a sex ed class.
it's not a podcast either.
Yeah, you will be laughing. You'll be learning. You'll be doing all the things. Maybe you'll be on stage with us. Who knows?
I feel like if I had to describe it, people ask me to describe not only the live shows that we do, but some of the other retreats that we do. And it's an immersion and it's a safe zone where you can feel comfortable. You will have so much fun and we're not forcing you to learn anything or do anything. It is just an experience. It's a shameless sex experience without sex at all.
Yeah.
Or nudity.
yeah.
It's entertainment.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a sensory overload that's going to leave you probably glowing and feeling like your best self.
I mean, there will probably be some sexiness.
Your cheeks
though.
might hurt from laughing, okay?
Yeah.
Butt cheeks will be fine.
Which cheeks are we talking about?
Your butt cheeks won't hurt from sitting because make
Will
you
it
do
heal
some-
my tailbone?
Yes, Amy.
All right. Here,
Sex question.
Let's do a sex question. My tailbone hurts and I need help with it. Okay. I've been dating someone for a few months now and she doesn't know this, but I've been taking pharmaceuticals every time we have sex. It's not that I always need it, but I was nervous in the beginning and now I'm worried if I stop, it will take me longer to get hard. I really don't think I need to pop a pill anymore, but I'm worried about what will happen when I stop. What should I do? Shameless babes.
Okay. I
Thanks
love
for calling us
shameless
babes.
So what do you think that he, obviously penis owning human, what do you think he means by pharmaceuticals? I kind of know, but I want your opinion.
The ones that make your dick hard.
Right. So like the Cialis, Viagra, or like any of those things that are they're prescription.
Totally. Yeah. And what I want to say to this person is you are so not alone. So many penis owning humans, men that I've talked to that do this or have done this, especially when they are 30 and up and they've gone through a breakup, and especially a long-term relationship and you're new to having sex with new bodies. They usually don't do this right away though. And then they like find that they're so nervous. And so their cock's like, not getting hard. And then they start adding, pharmaceuticals to it. And we're not shaming that at all. And then they often hit a point of like, wait, so do I tell my partner about this? Or like, do I just stop? Like what happens if I stop and then all of a sudden like it's not, I don't get hard? Like what do I say? Are they going to go through like, is it me? Do you not like me anymore thing?
Well, if you are prescribed this thing and you want to shift that into a different mode, right, and to get out of the frequency of having to take pharmaceutical every time you plan on on having sex, it's good to just sort of stop. And then there's natural ways to go, which we have joy mode that we talk about a lot, which I love.
Yeah. But before joy mode. So
I want to finish because I will say that some of the shame in taking those things is not even letting your body figure out if you are capable of. So just like taking a break from pharmaceuticals, and there's no shame, as we just mentioned, in that. And a lot of people do that, yes. And guess what? Like pharmaceuticals they can interact with different other pieces of your life, whether it's other medications that you're taking or even other, like it can be dangerous in ways like heart health, all these things. So I just want to say, like, taking a break could be a good thing to test, and maybe tell your partner that you're going to do this.
Yeah, and we're not doctors, as you know,
No.
but we've learned from a lot of doctors, and so yeah, with what April said, like one option is, this is the one, like you out the elephant in the room, right? Like shamelessly, but it will be scary, right? Is to come clean to your partner. Hey, so when we started dating, I was really nervous. I didn't think my cock would perform well. I've been taking whatever you're taking since then, and I'm not on it today, and I'd like to, experience having sex without this, but if I don't get hard right away, that because they've been dating for a little bit, right? So maybe you feel more comfortable saying that.
You could also, I think it would be really, I would be really happy, and I don't know how you would feel if someone said, I really just wanted to perform well for you, and I wanted to please you.
Like you're that special.
I know, that would make me feel so great. So if you wanted to be that vulnerable, you could share that, and I love what you just said. I think that's a really smart way to address it. Address the elephant in the room, and then if your partner is being a total then that could be something to consider.
Well, some people might be going to like, you've been lying to me the whole time, and it
wouldn't be a lie, right? Your dick still gets
or
hard.
like withholding or something. But I do know, I know a lot of people who have been in this scenario, and if I say a lot is like 6, okay. Out of that, I do know at least 1 to 2 cases where the other partner was like, they felt like they were being misled, and like tricked, like questioning the other person's honesty or something. And that was just that one person. And so, but that's navigatable, if that is a word. And also, we're not saying you don't have to come clean. You can also just do other things, like April said, like more holistic things. And if your cock's not getting as hard as it was, we have some remedies for you.
Well, there's toys. There's like a great, joy mode, which we'll get to because I love joy mode, that I know has had an impact on my partner's performance and some of his friends at the gym bros.
I know a lot of dicks that love joy mode.
Yeah. But like talking about, if you want to go the toy route, you could do that. There's Hot Octopus solo, right? It's just for one person. So it could be a great way to engage your cock without the pharmaceuticals to see how it reacts, and then kind of work your way up.
Is this kind of designed to get you hard?
It is.
Or have an orgasm.
Totally. And designed to get you hard, designed to help you with lessen your refractory period, and is recommended for folks that don't want to use a pill. Yeah. And Pure Pleasure Shop, completely, like, it's one of their top sellers because it's on our favorites.
So you could use this like your partner's coming over and it's a sex date, and you use this like on your own before they arrive. Or, hey babe, I got this new toy, like can we use it together? And also here's a vibrator that I can put on you too. And it's designed to get you to that, turned on arousal space that generally has a hard on. And if you want to try that, you can go to purepleasureshop.com, use coupon code Shameless Sex, you get 15% off. And then also, just to add to this, once you get some blood flow into your cock, it doesn't have to be rock hard, but some blood flow, you can also try a stretchy cock ring or adjustable cock ring. And I'm saying those things because don't get a metal or hard cock ring if you're new. And there's plenty of those at purepleasureshop.com in the penis section.
Because that can constrict blood flow and help just maintain your erection. You have to put that on though when you're swaffed. When you're flaccid.
Not I can't do that accent.
With Hot Octopus Adam plus when you have to be soft. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
There's a variety of different ones. Those are all in our Shameless Sex faves section on Pure Pleasure Shop.
Yeah.
And those are really the recommendations.
That was the original design for cock rings, was to keep your cock hard.
Those are authentic choices for us. We're not just putting those up. We don't
we
make
use
any
these with
money
our
off
partners.
of any, right. So they're on there for a reason. And then I mentioned joy mode because not only have they been a part of what we've suggested for quite some time now, but it really does work because it's almost like the electrolytes that you put. It's not electrolytes.
I like them.
I like them. Electrolytes, where you open the pack up, you put it in your water, you let it kind of sit, you stir it up a little bit, and then you drink it.
Like 45 minutes before fun time.
Right. So you kind of gauge it, and then it'll help it just helps with blood flow, kind of like when we were talking about a cock ring, but you don't have to wear anything. So it helps with blood flow. It kind of, not kind of, it will help you like boost your performance. So it's a sexual performance booster that's only 4 ingredients, and over 200,000 plus people, men, dudes with dicks, use and trust and love,
including a lot of people we know.
Including my partner, he knows. He's like, oh yeah, and his gym dudes.
Yeah, you will also, because people are. It also helps. Like if you're promoting blood health, heart health, you're promoting genital health, which in turn promotes your athletic performance.
Yeah,
all kinds of aspects. So there's other things that are helpful.
We do joy mode ads sometimes in our podcast, and they're the most fun. They're
so fun.
Because I'm like, what about your pants, pirate? Because I don't know what y'all call your diaka. But Joy Mode, they just are super fun, and their products work. So
yeah.
Where can they get it, Miss Amy?
Well, y'all, you there listening, you can also get 20% off your single purchases and 30% off subscription orders with code shameless at tryjoymode.com. That's try joymode joymode.com, and use code shameless for 20% off single purchases and 30% off subscription orders. That's a lot of great options for this human.
I tasted it too, and not the sperm,
Me too.
but yes, the sperm, but the actual product, and it tastes good.
I liked it once.
I don't recommend, though, if you are a vulva owner, drinking this, because it is designed for dudes. Okay,
This is for dicks.
Are you ready for the bio?
Yes. Good luck with your dick.
Darshana Avila is a pleasure-centric, trauma-informed, culturally relevant erotic educator, known for her role as one of the experts on Netflix's Sex, Love, and Goop. To learn more, go to darshanaavila.com. All right, everyone. It's interview time, and we're here with Darshana Avila, who has been on our show. This will be the 4th time, which your episode from 2024, it's in our mashup from 2024. I don't know if you listened to it, but the fingering episode was one of our most listened to episodes of 2024. I re-listened, and it's so good with tips on fingering. There's a lot more involved than just what people think. But this time we're talking about queer, bi-curious, threesomes, and what that looks like, I guess, for folks that are curious, bi-curious. Amy and I have a song. It's bi-curious.
Go, bi-curious.
Kind of sounds like vicarious too.
Yeah.
Which there's a way into that.
It works.
It was from Notorious B.I.G. back in the day.
Yeah.
So welcome, Darshana. We're so excited to have you here for the 4th time, and I'm excited for this topic. Probably going to be a top one of 2025. Mm-hmm. So we start this just how we have before, and I know that you've been doing so much. So please update everyone since the last times you've been on here about how you got to where you are right now today in the field of sexuality.
Oh my goodness. Okay. That's a big one always. Really? It's like, I could say I was born this way. I'm channeling my Lady Gaga moment, which is total truth. Like there are some very young formative imprints there that would have indicated I might end up in the sexuality field, but I took a pretty like roundabout route to get here, had a corporate career, a very vanilla cis-het monogamous marriage in my 20s, and ultimately, that just wasn't a fit. So I started exploring and experimenting really in the laboratory of my own life. And that very quickly emerged as, time to not have the corporate job and time to go really seeking in a deeper way. And the pivot point for me was a lot of my early explorations were happening in neo-tantric sacred sexuality type spaces that felt pretty cringy to me in a lot of ways, quite frankly, and certainly were not trauma informed. And I was witnessing a lot of harm being done. And so I made a decision to create my body of work in kind of an answer back to that, and bring like a lot of really solid guidance around sex and intimacy, and like taking, like you guys, shame-free, shameless, like stripping all of that away, but also with a very solid and grounded, foundation of how our nervous systems need to be tended to, how we handle trauma, how we handle what it is to exist in a culture that at every turn wants to shame and suppress our sexuality. So I've been on my journey iterating this, and I just hit a decade in private practice.
Awesome.
Yeah. And teaching and getting to chat with amazing humans like you. And here we are doing the thing.
Yeah, doing the thing. So this episode, everyone, as April said, more about like queer, bi-curious, and threesomes. We'll get to the threesomes part. And starting with the queer, bi-curious piece. So I read the book All Fours, and April,
All
have you heard
Fours?
of it? All Fours.
No, I haven't.
So I saw, this was last year, like maybe winter. I want to say maybe it was like November-ish. Kept seeing these women posting. Most of these women were like, 35 and up, about All Fours, life-changing, like photo of their faces with the book. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Already a New York Times bestseller. The author's name is Miranda July. It is fiction mostly, but also very relatable about like a perimenopause journey in discovering herself that involves a lot of stuff with sexuality, including some queer bi-curious explorations. I already passed it on to a friend, but you should read it from a friend, because it's just, also you might want to masturbate like every couple, like 10 pages or so as you listen to or read it, or you can listen to it to an audio. And so while we're not huge fans of contributing to stereotypes, it does seem like the stereotype that most women, or a lot of women, are naturally more queer or bi-curious than men, or maybe just that they are, like, more of them are more queer or bi-curious than people think, maybe is a little more true. I don't know. What do you think about this, Darshana? Am I creating some bullshit with the stereotype thing?
I'm right there with you. I don't want to perpetuate stereotypes that aren't valid. And I actually think there is something to this. First of all, Miranda July, if you're listening, I love you. Thank you. That book is awesome. I've passed my copy on to a friend as well. And another book that I want to reference here, which I know that you, Amy, will have read, if not both of you, Sex at Dawn.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's a study that was cited in that book that has stayed with me. I mean, I read that book ages and ages ago, but there was a study where people of different sexes and genders were shown all sorts of video imagery, and their brain waves were being monitored. And I'm totally like doing my qualitative paraphrasing of this study, by the way. But the gist of it was that most women would have a brain reaction seeing same-sex scenes playing out, in keeping with the same kind of response that would go on when seeing a heterosexual scene. And so there is something to like this idea that more women are given to fluidity, let's say, if not, firmly bisexuality, like a fluidity in what they're attracted to, how they express their eroticism. And I think that what's happening now, like it's in the cultural zeitgeist so much more, not just as fiction, but also the fact that we're being given more permission, which is like, it's called, like, that's an interesting thing to say. Like, we're recording this when we've got the most like fascist, oppressive, homophobic, government like regime in place. And yet also true is that we're living in a time of unprecedented permission and also representation of you get to be you and do you, like, more than ever before. And so it's inviting the question, it's inviting the curiosity forward. And I think it's really a very empowering moment that we're in sight of collectively, where people who might, even just a few years ago felt shame or fear or confusion to even bring the subject up are absolutely feeling more emboldened. Last year, when I looked back and was like reviewing my clients in my private practice, at least 50% were women who had been in cis-het relationships that were now either fully identifying as lesbians, or they were somewhere on their queer journey. They were coming to me wanting to know not just more about themselves, but also how to be a good lover to their female partners. It's just, I'm like, okay, well, here's what's going on. Like, and I celebrate it wholeheartedly. Like, as a queer woman who's been having sex with women always, even before I took on the identity of queer as my own, I'm like all for it. So I think it's a beautiful moment of just embracing more of our humanity and having the courage to celebrate and explore it.
Well, I am super excited to read this book, and the permission and that you're talking about, where people, the normalcy sometimes of going a direction that feels good, that maybe you've been curious about, whether it's identifying as queer. Some people might be like, oh, identifying as queer would be really like a lot for me because I don't really know what that means. Or does that mean I'm gay? Or does that mean I'm bisexual? And that's always like, hey, you don't have to identify or label yourself as anything, right? It's not necessary unless you want to.
Right. And labels, it's like, it's a both and. They are both really helpful and can also be confusing, can be limiting, and the confusion stems from like, I say queer, you might interpret that as gay. And I might not mean that. So in my case, and I'm just, I'll speak for myself, I am queer, which is to say that I have more expansive and perhaps a little bit more progressive ideas about my personal sexuality. I like to have sex and flirt and am turned on by people of different genders. I explore a lot of different dynamics in my personal sexuality. So even though I date and have sex with and love men, and I'm a cis woman. And so if you saw us together through the lens of all you're seeing on the surface, that would look like a cis het dynamic. I myself, inside of that dynamic, am still owning and embracing my queerness.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't identify as gay. I am not a lesbian, even though part of what I enjoy is sex with women.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my personal example. And I use that to help anybody who's listening, like wherever you are in the question, because often a question that I have put to me is, am I queer enough? Is it okay for me to claim that title for myself, to use that label? And to your point, it really is a very personal thing that we get to explore for ourselves. And it's not like once you're not like putting a stake in the ground that can't be taken up again. Like, it's fluid. It's dynamic. You might identify in different ways in different moments in your life, and that's okay. Like really, really if you hear nothing else, that's okay.
But that's such a great point, because that kind of will flow into this next question. And to just finish that thought, I have like a friend in particular, but probably more than one, that she's married to a woman and doesn't identify as being a lesbian. She's queer. And that's something that I've always loved, learning that perspective, because I don't define what a lot of sexualities, or what is it, orientations, what they are, because I'm like, number one, as long as you're enjoying yourself and there's consent involved, like, I'm stoked for you if you're trying out all different types of folks out there. Animals are not included in this, everyone. They do not consent. I just want to be clear, because yes, this is true. So thank you for that perspective, and just really, I think you just giving more proof and light to not needing to be a certain way, and you're living that.
Hey there, fabulous listeners. Ready to kick your dick challenges to the curb?
Well, then let's talk about Joy Mode's Sexual Performance Booster, the secret sauce for turning meh into wow.
Exactly. This all-natural wonder enhances blood flow, giving you firmer, more reliable erections. It's like giving your little buddy a superhero cape. And the best part, Joy Mode isn't just for epic bedroom adventures. Daily use supports healthier blood vessels and enhances heart health. It's like a gym membership for your cock.
Just mix a pack with water, and in 45 minutes, you and your cock will be ready to rock. No awkward doctor visits required. And with just 4 simple ingredients, you can finally ditch those prescription side effects. Join the ranks of over 200,000 men who trust Joy Mode to keep their performance at its peak.
So, if you want to take your game to legendary levels, visit tryjoymode.com and use code SHAMELESS for 20% off single purchases and 30% off subscriptions.
That's tryjoymode.com, code SHAMELESS for 20% off single orders and 30% off subscriptions. Hey dudes, listen up. Your cock is calling you, because it wants to experience this VIP upgrade.
Hey everyone. time to let you in on a little secret that you'll want between your legs. It's the Perineum Massager by Butter Wellness.
And listen up, dudes, because y'all are always asking us how to unlock a whole new level of pleasure. And this little gem is designed to do exactly that. Stimulate the magic zone between your balls and your butthole, aka the gooch, the taint, the perineum. Yay!
The Perineum Massager is so powerful that you can access the P-spot without inserting anything. Imagine stronger orgasms that'll leave you seeing stars. We're talking super O's, y'all.
And this isn't just for dudes. It's perfect for couples too. I regularly use this little massaging powerhouse as a clitoral stimulator because its curves hit all the right spots.
Plus, if you've got pleasure goals this year, the Perineum Massager is the perfect way to explore and connect with your partner on a whole new level.
And when you use code SHAMELESS at butterwellness.com, you'll snag 30% off right now. That's butterwellness, BUTTERWELLNESS, and code SHAMELESS to get 30% off the Perineum Massager or the Butter Starter Kit.
That's butterwellness.com with code SHAMELESS to transform your bedroom game. The link is in the episode description. So grab that perineum massager and let the gooch times roll.
So what you talked about, the last little piece, was that maybe it was something that you were trying, you were exploring other people that maybe are a different gender than you are. And so that's okay. You mentioned that you're like, it's okay. So if people are like, oh, I had this phase in college where I totally was all about like only hooking up with women, and is that like just a thing? Like, is it a phase, bisexuality or queerness or whatever we're talking about, the fluidity that people are going through, that most people are exploring? Is it like doing a bunch of drugs at a concert and then being like, that was a college thing, I don't do that anymore?
It's a really fair question. And my answer is maybe, depends on the person. For some people, yeah. I can remember like my college version of this because it's funny when we were deciding what we were going to talk about. My first threesome that I remember was me ending up in bed with one of my really hot besties and her boyfriend. And I have zero recollection of how we got there. It was not like none of the things that I would give guidance on now happened. We were in the bed and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? But what I also know was going on in that chapter of my life is my group of girl friends and it was not an uncommon thing. I should be mentioned, like I went to school in Florida at a big party school. There was a lot of alcohol consumption going on. It was rowdy. And we'd make out with each other in bars and boys would think it was like, ooh, like it was almost like a gimmick back then. But for me, and as best I know, out of that group of friends, some of whom I'm still connected to, I'm the only queer person in that group. So it presented as a phase. For other people that I was doing this with, sharing this with, it was a phase. For me, it was showing me something about myself that I had previously explored because I had younger explorations that were same sex. And then I went into a period of monogamous heterosexual life, just, doing the thing. And then it was like later into my 30s when I circled back around again. I was like, oh, I think there's something else going on here. So I'll offer my personal stories to see like, yeah, that was one phase. There was the young phase of same-sex experimentation feeling like an accessible and perhaps safer way to start to know my sexual self. And it happened to be that I had a few girl friends that I explored that with. Then there's college where it's like, woo, rowdy bar, we're doing the thing. And guys think it's cool. And it's like spring break drunkenness.
Cancun.
Anyway, I am not advocating for that. Not going to yell at anybody's young, but maybe not my finest moment. And then, there was a period where I had completely disconnected from the part of me that enjoyed that way of exploring and expressing myself. It was not a conscious thought. Like, and that chapter of my life, when I was in a marriage, like I was married and it was monogamous and it was heterosexual and it was vanilla, I wasn't unhappy It just was kind of like, this is the thing I'm doing right now. And that has continued to evolve. So if we use me as a case study, and because I work with tons of people, like I know I'm not the only one. Sure, it's a phase, but it doesn't mean that it is any less genuine. It doesn't mean that that your identity as you know it, because that's the thing here. Nobody else gets to tell us who we are. Nobody else gets to tell us how we are. That's a very personal and subjective thing, right? So as an individual, you might go through different phases. That term getting used to signal less than, to signal it's not serious, like, oh, we shouldn't pay too much attention to this. That's really the problem there, right?
Or maybe instead of phase, like it's like a trial run, right? Like, because a phase is like, this will pass. It's just right now. And a trial run's like, I want to see if this is working for me now and in the future. Yeah, it's a test drive, right? Yeah, I'm checking this out. And sometimes you test drive for years. And in terms of the age, right? I think a lot of people think of that happening. You're in college, and which is still very common, right? My mom's trial run, which ended up being not until she was 60 years old. I was talking about this in a podcast we were just on, but for 10 years dated women. She had never dated or had sex with women before that. And I think like she could have looked at it, or other people could have looked at it as a phase, because now after 70, she's just dating men again. But no, now she's just a queer person, right? It's like now she's then for 10 years just geared towards women. She wanted to do the women thing. And now she's just geared towards men, still attracted to women. And so it's changing, as you're saying, it is fluid. And so that phase really was, what'd you say, a test drive, a 10-year test drive to come to the conclusion that right now she's just a queer person who's geared towards dick.
In our book, we made a joke about Amy's mom says, labels aren't for your sexuality, they're for food.
She's a foodie. That's why it's funny. It's an inside joke.
I love that because and it's ultimately it's like speaking to every like the guidance I give to like a million questions is experiment with it. Like I can't tell you how often some version of that is my answer. You're wondering about something, experiment. You want to know how it is, experiment. If we think about what the nature of an experiment is, it is not about a guaranteed outcome. It is about exploring the journey of putting some different variables together and seeing what the outcome is. And then how do we feel about that? Right. So if you have a curiosity of like, maybe I'm into women, or if you're a guy who's into guys, or if you're a non-binary person who's into whatever, anywhere on the spectrum, like if you're willing to explore your curiosity and hold it with the energy of an experiment, which means you're not guaranteed an outcome. You're not trying to predict an outcome. You're just in it to say, all right, let me gather up some data. How does this feel? Do I feel more affirmed? Do I enjoy myself? Is it empowering? Do I feel really disconnected and strange and like I'm trying to like play a part in a movie as opposed to being my authentic self? Like whatever the information that you glean from the experiment is going to give you information then about what the next step should be. That's really all you need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to have it all mapped out and figured out. Even as a type A-ish person over here, I would like to, but I understand like that's not exactly how it works. Okay, so when it's not a phase, what do you do if you're, let's say an example, you're a cis woman, kind of like Miranda July's book in All Fours. You're a cis woman in a relationship with a cis man, and you're thinking to yourself, maybe I'm into women, which it wasn't exactly her trajectory in it, but this example. So maybe say I'm married and we're a cis man, cis woman, and I'm the woman. Maybe I'm into women too, and we're monogamous, and we've been together for a number of years. What should this person do?
Yeah. Again, highly subjective, but let's just assume like in All Fours, you happen to have a really like understanding husband or partner who really like that character had a lot of like generosity of spirit, right? Like, but
he also had his desire to go have his own experiences too.
Exactly.
So there's that one. Yeah.
Don't
spoil alert.
Sorry, you don't. That's all you know.
All right. Okay, we're gonna stop referencing the book. Okay, but I will extrapolate some things from that.
That means she's gonna read it. That's cool.
You should I devoured this book.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So good.
Okay. Moving on though. So my bias, and I'm going to preface it as that, like my bias is that you're going to have a truer sense of what works for you if you have the opportunity to explore on your own for yourself. So what that means practically is if you are in a cis het monogamous relationship and you are a woman who strongly senses, I want to explore my bi-curiosity, I might be into women too, I would consider what ways are available to you to start to do that independently of your partner. And I know we're going to talk about threesomes, and I'm all for them and I love them when they're done well. But there's also a lot to be said for having some protected space, if you will, that is just yours, protected from really, I'm not talking about you need to be protected from your husband or your boyfriend or whoever. I'm talking about protecting you from the parts of yourself that are likely to then be so worried about him and his experience. And is he okay with this? And am I going to hurt his feelings or what have you? That you don't get to really be fully in your experience while it's happening. And that could take a lot of different shapes and forms. So what you want to start off with, first and foremost, identify your desires. What do you really want to be able to do here? And with that information, you're going to be entering into a negotiation with your partner and forming some agreements about what he is on board for and finding a place of mutuality. I'm speaking about this like kind of in a very like dispassionate, unbiased way. Your partner might have feelings, and that's a whole other process. But I'm just going to kind of outline this as if it's like the best case scenario, right? Is that you get clear that maybe what you want to do, for instance, is work with someone like me. Find a female practitioner, find a woman who is available to facilitate erotic experiences and have that be your stepping stone. See what that feels like. If you notice now, like the way that I work, it's a one directional space and I'm staying like pretty neutral in my own sexual and erotic energy, but that doesn't mean that clients don't get to feel things. So if you're new to exploring, that might be a really safe way that your partner can feel good about because it's a very clear container. You get to have an experience. And then again, it's an experiment. What do I feel? Does that turn me on? Did I find myself like extra juiced up or fantasizing about some like hot lesbian scene or what have you? If yes, and you want more, maybe the next move is a play party that centers women, or it's to agree that you might get on a dating app like Field or something that caters more to alternative sexualities, dating styles, so on and so forth, and look for a connection on your own and be in conversation with your partner about like, what are the parameters of this exploration that we can both feel good about? Right. So that would be like the ideal scenario. That way you have a bit of space to learn about yourself first before you're weaving it in with your partnership. Now, some people, that's not going to be available for whatever the reasons. Maybe it's because your partner doesn't feel great about that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you actually really want to have the opportunity for this to be something. I came across a woman's profile on Field the other day and like, which actually said like, I don't have space to date outside of my partnership. So my partner and I are looking for women to date together. I was like, okay, that's a really transparent way of positioning where you're at. So we all have our reasons. If you're going to do it inside of your partnership, this is going to open up like a whole other layer of conversation. So I'll pause for a second. I'm sure you have something to say.
No, please continue. I just wanted, you were covering, I was going to ask about tips and you've already given, I heard 4, just
Great.
because tips about exploring your queerness before we get to threesomes, because threesomes are a juicy topic on our show. And so I don't have a lot to say other than I agree and love what you are recommending in terms of navigating this, especially in partnership, because it sounds like to me, what I've heard, it's identify what you're looking for, what you want to explore for yourself. And then there are safe ways to do that. And if you want to, well, if you want to explore that on your own and not involve your partner yet, because threesomes are coming, everyone, don't worry. There are safe ways to do that. Like you can, we've interviewed the Skirt Club founder, which is specifically for bi-curious women, vulva owners that want to explore that part of themselves, and those are all over. And we've also had other play parties that I think would be a safe zone for people to navigate that. And I know the other tips are that you gave, but it's like figuring out the negotiation with your partner, because you probably don't want to be out of integrity. So maybe you could work out if they're not comfortable with you going to a play party that is exploring your bisexuality as a woman per se. And we can switch this to any gender, but for now, for this particular talk about queerness within a woman's realm, if your partner is like, absolutely not, I don't want you going anywhere where there's just a bunch of women in hot skirts. Do you think that, because Dan Savage advocates sometimes for and like being outside of the relationship, what does he call it? Where it's
polyamory.
Yeah, polyamory. Yes, where you're just tolerating.
He's also a harm reduction person,
yes.
right? So like what is this? It's the least harmful something,
approach.
Right? Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So what do you think? Because the other tips, what do you think would be if somebody? So the best, you went over the best case scenario. Let's talk about not the worst, but like medium. Okay. Because hopefully there's a medium.
I want to go there. And I want to just say one other piece, which is like, the way I love your reflection back, because I was like, oh, that's what I said. Cool. Okay.
I don't always get it right
April
though.
No, I think you did
Yes.
really well.
Okay.
I think you did well, but the piece that I didn't include there was bringing, in the same way that I invite you as the one who wants to explore this for yourself to get clear, like, what is my desire here? What do I really want? There's a two-way dialogue that has to happen between like the emotions, the meaning making, the where does this bump up against? Maybe it's like from a value standpoint, maybe it's what our attachment system requires. So if you're really, really doing this in the best case scenario way, I would say get a coach or a counselor or a therapist to help you. Totally. Right? To help you lead into this, or at a minimum, like pick up one of Jessica Fern's books or, like something. Like don't go it alone because you don't have to. Like if you really want to do this well, back to what we were saying at the beginning, like there is an unprecedented amount of information and support and communities of care around that could give you like a little bit of hand-holding, a little bit of scaffolding as you negotiate this in your partnership. There's zero shame in that. If anything, it's a kindness because you're talking about harm reduction. You're far more likely to reduce the harm being done when you've got some guidance as opposed to a bunch of like newbie energy, just like, okay, we'll figure this out. Like, you don't have to. But now to that next point of like, what would be like a mid-range scenario? Listen, it's totally valid to assess for yourself if I strongly want something that my partner is not available for, that they are not on board with, like, what do I want to do about that? One option is you tolerate the fact that you're not going to get your things satisfied. Like if you really care about this person, this relationship, what have you, enough that you're willing to kind of sublimate this desire and set it aside, like that's as valid a choice as also saying, no, I'm not. And then if it's a no, I'm not, again, do you outsource? And I'm putting that in air quotes if you're just listening to this, like, do you outsource that to a paid professional? Do you choose to like engage in ways that are not entirely consensual between you and your partner because they haven't signed off on it, but from a harm reduction vantage point, it's like, oh, maybe I just go to this party and see what goes on because I'm going to use this as part of my information gathering. Like maybe you don't have clarity enough to know, is this worth rocking the boat with my partner? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to pass a moral judgment on what another person does. I'm just speaking about these all with like some neutrality of like, you have choices there. And I think integrity really is, so much of what we talked about, I think I've said personal and subjective like 7 times already. Totally. It's personal. Mm-hmm. Like, so me being in integrity with myself means that I am acting and speaking and living my life in accordance with my value set, and my value set and yours and yours and yours, like they might not line up. So there is some gray area here. And I don't think it does anybody any favors to act as if there isn't. You might make some complicated choices in service to preserving a really wonderful relationship and also knowing yourself inside of that relationship.
And this is why, like you said earlier, and we've said many times in our show and in our book, this is why you hire people like you, Darshana Avila, where you're not like, just like, I don't know what's going on. Fact. Most pussy owners need some sort of clitoral stimulation to orgasm, and many are not having orgasms from penetrative sex.
Say what?
I know, right? This is one of the many reasons why we are obsessed with OMG Yes. Not only has it changed our lives in the orgasm department, but I've been recommending OMG Yes to my clients for years, and it's completely changed their sex lives as well. OMGS features scientific research of real vulva owners, aka women, showing techniques to pleasure the pussy. They turn the research into tasteful, educational short videos, animated modules, and infographics for easy visual learning.
They call it OMGS for a reason, because OMGS is for anyone who wants to learn about pussy pleasure or take it to the next level. Whether you're a beginner or someone who wants to take your orgasms from good to mind-blowing, then you need to check out OMG Yes. They have 3 seasons: external pleasure, internal pleasure, and sex toys. It's not a subscription service, y'all, so you don't need to download a single thing. And it's great for partners who want to pleasure that pussy too. And for listeners of our show, OMGS is offering 10% off when you go to omgyes.com/shameless. Again, that's omgyes.com/shameless to receive 10% off unlimited access towards enhancing your pleasure power forever. Newsflash, everybody. We are picky about our lubes.
Can we say uber picky?
Yes, we can. And let me tell you all why Uber Lube is our absolute favorite lube ever. Uber Lube is a luxurious silicone lubricant that I want all over my body. Yes, it's designed for sex because it enhances intimacy while allowing you to still feel the skin-on-skin contact, but it feels so good that I want it everywhere. Uber Lube is long-lasting, leaves your skin feeling velvety smooth, and it's there when you want it, but then it dissipates when you're done.
Yes. Aside from using Uber Lube for all of my sexy sessions, and I use it all the time, I also use it for massages, for my hair frizzies, to prevent chafing, and it brings out the color of your beautiful tattoos. Thousands of doctors and therapists in the US alone are recommending Uber Lube to their patients because it's body-friendly, less likely to change the pH, and has vitamin E so it feels moisturizing on the skin. Uber Lube has no flavor or scent, which means it's also great for oral sex. And it comes in a beautiful glass bottle with a pump top, which means easy access to Pleasure Town.
Want to see why we think Uber Lube is the best lube in the world? Then go to uberlube.com and use discount code SHAMELESS to get 10% off and free shipping. Again, that's uberlube.com right now with code SHAMELESS for 10% off and free shipping.
And this is another reason why none of us, the 3 of us, are not saying just go right into the threesome, because there's other stuff to check out. But let's talk about the threesome part, because, that's just funsies. And that's where a lot of people do go right away without it being informed. It's like, oh, you're bi-curious? Okay, cool. Let's go, like hook up with our friend or pick up someone at the bar. And most cis men would likely be a big fuck yeah to when they're hearing, well, my girl's down to hook up with another woman. Woo! They're like super stoked, right? And, now they're like a non-monogamous person, and you can have the label non-monogamous if you like. We'll get to the idea about 2 dicks in the room later. But we know here at Shameless Sex, it's not all sunshine and rainbows in the threesome world. Are there specific ways that you recommend people begin exploring threesomes within their partnership to keep it a little more, safe or less explosive?
Yeah, totally. I think if you are half of a couple that is seeking a threesome, I think the first point of discussion, if you will, has to be, what do we want this threesome to be about? So if it's I'll just use, if it's me and my boyfriend, and I'm the newly bi-curious one, and I'm like, hey, babe, I really want to do this. I would like us to have this experience together. So the question becomes, who are we really doing this for? Are we doing this for me, Darshana, so that I get to have an experience with another woman and really center that exchange while my boyfriend is kind of here in witness mode, in loving support? What is the role that we're playing? Or are we wanting to create an experience where both of us get to interact and participate with equal, I'm looking for a word that's not coming to my mind.
Participation.
Here.
Involvement.
Involvement.
Yeah.
involvement. Yeah, because like there's not threesomes are not one size fits all by a long shot. Like really and truly. And there are many different ways to like constellate three bodies. I mean, think about that. There really are. And so it's no less a threesome, for instance, if you and your male partner have an experience with another woman and his role is maybe like massaging shoulders or kissing you, or you two get to have whatever your, range of sexual engagement with each other is, but there are certain parameters about how each of you engage with the other woman. And all of this to say, the other woman is not an inanimate object. This is a being with a body and a heart and boundaries and preferences and needs. So please do yourself a favor. Don't be that couple. Don't be the couple who treats your quote unquote unicorn like she's just there for your pleasure. This is a person who's going to have their own material as well. And so the moment you decide that you're going to bring a third individual into the dynamic, understand that that is not just three-way sex. That is a three-way negotiation of what's in play, what's out of bounds. How do we get our needs met? How do we take care of each other and respect each other as humans? What do we want to have happen during our time together? What is our aftercare and our agreements once we complete? So whether or not you are kinky or know anything about the BDSM world, this notion of negotiation and aftercare are two really worthwhile things to get at least a foundational education in, because you're basically talking about your threesome is like creating a scene, right? Outside of your normal ways of relating. And you want to go into that in a good way.
I just want to ask this because I know that it can be complicated for people that aren't in the sex positivity world, right? We're all sex educators. We all can be like, oh, it's super easy to have the conversation with this third person and I'm in a couple. And it's like, people might be asking, well, how do you do that? Yes, I know. It's like, because if things are hot and you meet someone and it's on, it's like, when does a negotiation take place? Do you have a fucking PowerPoint presentation ready for them to be like,
should, April,
what's happening? Are you okay with these things? So, right. So it's like, and everybody, again, subjective, of course. I just think to have an idea for folks out there that aren't maybe the best negotiators, and maybe they have this agreement already with their partner, they're ready for the threesome, they're down, they meet someone on field or at a bar and it's on. When do they negotiate? Let's say they don't have the field thing because you can negotiate that in the app. Let's say it's in person. PowerPoint presentation, is that okay? Good.
I mean, listen, I find spreadsheets that other people create highly sexy.
Love it. Yeah.
That is not my talent. I'm good at many things. Let me stroke pussies, not make spreadsheets.
At least you know.
I can help you out there, Darshana.
Okay? You're a good team. The stroker and the spreadsheet girl. Oh my God, I love this.
Let's imagine the scenario of you are in a bar or at a party or somewhere unscripted and without the chat box to like actually go back and forth through. I mean, it is and isn't wildly different. I realize that this might seem terrifying for some of us, but buck up, put on your big girl panties or big whoever panties, like talk like a human. Don't make assumptions. And it's amazing how, if you really think about it, so much of what we kind of hem and haw over and bite our nails and worry, like, is it okay to say this? If you really think about what you would want to discuss, this is the stuff that's going to establish consent, sexual health, safety, emotional health, and taking good care of one another. So I understand it can feel very nerve-wracking to initiate such a conversation. But when you think about what is at stake here, in a good way, what's at stake is that either you could create a lot of harm and hurt and confusion for everybody involved, or you could create an incredibly transparent, compassionate, exciting, playful, experimental opportunity for everyone to learn something new about themselves and have a ton of fun. So I would simply start by saying let's say, if we're still playing in the scene of you're part of the couple, whoever strikes up the conversation, the banter, the flirting, the what have you, you got to keep it light. You got to keep it low key. If you're propositioning somebody for a threesome out in like the public wild, like you have no idea how that's going to go down. That's the beauty of an app like Field where someone's opting into a communication with you. I would start real gentle and be like, I find you super attractive. Like, can I flirt with you a little more? Or can I ask you some questions like to get to know if there's some overlap here? It's curiosity and it's also holding it lightly. So you're not hiding the fact that there's some desire there, right? Like if somebody asks you that, you're going to be like, oh, what's going on here? But you're also not like, hey, do you want to have a threesome tonight? Like,
it's a little extreme. Yeah.
that I just met in the bar 20 minutes ago. Like that's a bit much, right?
What are you doing later? Threesome or what?
and I mean, you're speaking to a human being. Honor their humanity. Honor your humanity. We are not actually sex robots. Newsflash. Even if you're going to engage in a casual, one-time, no strings attached encounter, it does not mean be assholes. It does not mean that forget your manners. Like it's actually more of an opportunity to really create the most like the high, I can't believe this phrase is about to come out of my mouth. High vibe. I want like a high vibe.
But it applies. It really does. Right now.
It works.
Yeah.
It does. Like be good people first and foremost. And that is what is going to give you the greatest possibility of having a satisfying experience. The satisfying experience might be, look at me. I got my courage up. I flirted. I made a bid for a connection. Maybe that person said no. But if they're also in that high vibe of being a good human being, they're not going to shame you. They're not going to make you feel like crap. They're going to be like, oh my God, I'm so flattered. That's like a really hot idea. And that's just more than I'm available for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, like there is some risk involved, but it's like the generative kind of risk. It's the risk that fosters growth. You're not guaranteed an outcome and you don't have to take it super personally. Like if somebody, I mean, as much as I love sex, chances are good that if somebody approached me in a bar asking me for a threesome, I don't know that I'd be an easy yes to that. And I'm like, again, I'm not saying don't put yourself out there. It's just, you got to consider a lot of very subjective, there's that word again, like details about the experience. And just remember, it's like, and this is applicable to everything and anything related to sex and intimacy, not only asking somebody to a threesome. Generally, it's not all that personal, which is to say, like, if someone turns down that bid for connection, it's way more about them than it is about you. Now, it being about them could mean they don't want this thing with you. In that way, it is personal. But if we are operating from a vantage point where we want to celebrate free will, where we want to have consensual exchanges, where we're really interested in what is the greatest amount of mutual yes that can arrive from a situation, you have to be able to respect somebody's no. Yeah. And it makes the yes so much more trustworthy when the no is given authentically and without all the like emotional, energetic, like, oh God, I don't know if it's okay to turn you down. No, let's just like be like adults. Can we fucking be adults, please? Like,
yeah. It was in respecting someone's no and having the skills to have your own no too, which both of those can be mutually, not exclusive, but mutually difficult or separately difficult depending on, where your line of work. I know for me, mine would be more, actually, no, both of them. Anyways, I would say the boundaries that expressing my no is more difficult than taking a no. And that's more of what I work on is more like me saying my boundaries. So, and again, opportunity to work with someone like Darshana, because that was when my work with these has been with people like you, working with educators, therapists, etc. in a somatic way is really helpful. I want to bring this because I hinted at this and I want to make sure we don't not cover this for our listeners. When there's two dicks in the room, dun, dun, dun. We were actually guesting on a show, but right before this, talking about this, how it seems so much more normalized for, two women, two pussy owners, one cock, that kind of threesome. And I know we're talking more about queerness and bi-curiousness for the pussy owner, but say that pussy owner wants to have the two dick experience. It seems like it's pretty common for their cis partners, cis man partners, male partners, to be like, okay, there's another pussy. Yes. Another dick. No. What do you think this is all about? Thoughts, advice for this human in this experience?
Totally. I agree, as much as I don't like it, that there is a cultural bias that we have and it's very much through a cisgendered heteronormative lens that says two pussy people, and not just pussy people, two women is an okay thing, especially with a man in the room. But that the moment it's two men, it's like the dicks are like swords and they're battling it out. And there's, like, I'm not going to act as if that does not pervade our common cultural like sentiment around it, but it does not represent everybody's experience. So I do want to consider that there are some guys out there who would be delighted by that. Also, I want to make sure that everyone listening is clear that two dicks and one pussy does not make it any less queer, nor does it make it more queer. Because again, queer is an identity that is really subjective, and you can be a queer person with a penis. But I think the root of your question is like, how do we come at that? Like, let's say that you're a woman who is in that cis-het partnership, and what you actually want is a threesome that involves another man. Like, so you're with a man and you want another man involved. It's not that different in terms of like the fundamental questions to ask and things to consider, which is first, get clear in your desire. What do you really want here? What is hot about this? Have you gone into a deeper exploration of what's behind this fantasy for you? Are you sure that you don't want to have it live only in the realm of fantasy? And it's something like that I can speak to. I organized for myself my first ever two dicks and a pussy experience, like, I don't know, like 12 years ago or something like this. And I kind of chickened out. Like I wanted it in my mind. I was like, this is going to be so hot. I thought I was going to have double penetration or, and I had all these fantastical ideas about the way I wanted it to go. And when it came down to it, the guy that I was more connected to, who I'd already shared some experiences with, like, I was okay with like him focusing on my pussy, and like the newer to me guy, like I was like, no, you're just getting oral. Like, so there's something to be said for like, get clear, and you might not know until you're trying. Like, is this something that you truly want to enact? What are the things you want to enact? Understand as much as you can about the why behind it. Again, this is where you bring somebody in to help you figure this out. I did not have such help in that moment, and I felt a lot of confusion. I'm like, why didn't I go through with the thing I thought I wanted? Because I didn't understand what I actually wanted. I didn't have somebody helping me unpack that. And then, like, assuming that you do want to go forward, again, it's having a conversation with your partner where you're being both unapologetically clear about what your experience is. I want this. I'm curious. This is my curiosity. This feels like something I really need in order to understand myself as an individual. And just because you're being unapologetically clear doesn't mean you're being a self-absorbed asshole who's not considerate of your partner. Like, you broach it in terms of, I am not saying I'm not going to go off and do this. I want to have a conversation with you to see if there's a way that we could potentially build toward having this experience together. Because again, we're assuming that you're defaulting from wanting this to be something you share with your partner, right? Two dicks and a pussy. So if that is what you want, then you've got to figure out a way to really center your partner and their heart and their attachment system and their nervous system and all of this as well, and not have it be like, hey, here's my agenda. Are you getting on board with this? It's actually, can we create together a pathway toward an experience that both of us would enjoy? If your partner feels threatened, if this brings up stuff for them, that's worthy of exploration and care just as much as understanding your desires around it are worthy of exploration and care. So it's always a two-way street.
I love that, Darshana. And you are peppering out resources, or you have peppered resources all throughout this interview, which thank you for that. And thank you for all of this perspective. And you're such a graceful presenter of information, and I learn how to be more graceful in the ways that I request things from learning from you. And I love the way that you help people as well. And you helped a lot of people. You've been on Netflix, as an expert, and it's just, I have a lot of
expert stroker,
expert stroker. But I have a lot of respect for you. So thank you for that. And so if you have, I know you peppered some resources in throughout. If you have any specific resources resources that you're wanting to share or re-mention, helping folks get in touch or figure out or not or phase in their queerness, their bi-curiosity, if they want to explore threesomes or they want to explore their anything, like they want to explore their sexuality. Do you have resources and also a way that people can work with you? Are you even working with anyone? And can you give all your handles and websites and things?
Totally.
Social security number, please. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to leave that last one off. The drum roll is I actually as of this episode being on air, this will be in existence. I have just launched a new free online community space that is all about centering the experience of women and AFAB who are celebrating queer sex, body, kink positivity. So literally, please come. We'll give you the link. The community is called Galgasm. So we're like playing with the orgasmic energy there. And yes, I do have a private practice. And, I work with a limited number of clients because thank you for the gorgeous reflection, April, of how you experience me. Mm-hmm. I give my all to my clients and you're going to get held in a really deeply transformational and loving way if you work with me. And you can come into the free community. And I have some courses that you could buy and do self-paced online. So there are different entry points to wherever you are on your journey. Support is available. And whether it's me or somebody else, again, heavy emphasis on you don't need to go it alone. Mm-hmm. And, I know you all host amazing educators and thought leaders and authors and what have you in all sorts of ways. So a podcast like this is a resource. And sometimes, we can learn things from different media outlets that take us to a certain point. But what we really need is someone delving into our particulars and holding our hand. So get that for yourself. Zero shame in that. If anything, it's something to be commended and celebrated. Get yourself support and thrive. That's what we're here for. I'm all about nurturing a culture of erotic wholeness. That's my body of work. That's my little catchphrase. And I want that for all of us, truly.
And remind us, your website is your name, Darshana Avila.
Yep. It's DarshanaAvila.com. And my community Galgasm is hosted on the School platform, which SKOOL. So I'll share that link with you so folks can have it. And again, it's a free community. So come on in.
Yeah. Yeah. You heard that, everyone. It's a free community. So what do you have to lose if you're curious, if you're bi curious, you're queer curious, you're just curious. And as Darshana has said, and we've said many times, don't be afraid to reach out to folks like Darshana to get that support and not do the journey alone. I personally find people in the dating world really hot when they're like, I'm doing my work. I have a therapist or I've worked with a coach or whatever. To me, it's bonus points. Also owning Uber Loop though. But you have those two. I'm like a guaranteed thing. Just kidding.
Can I just interrupt for a second? I have had 3 clients in the last 2 weeks talk about Uber Loop.
Really?
That's awesome. My friend Amy is all about it.
Oh, I gotta start sending you free samples and you can just hand them out to the folks and all the things. Yeah. I mean, this wasn't even an Uber Loop plug. I was just like, these are the things to me. I like seeing that. I care about my own sexuality so much that I'm doing this work, which to me as a lover feels like, then you'll also care about me. So thank you so much, everyone. Go check out DarshanaAvila.com. We'll have all the links in the show notes. I'm closing this out, which is unusual because April and I did a swapsies today because we're a little switchy sometimes. And let's see. So if you're listening every Tuesday, we release an episode every Tuesday. Sometimes we have a bonus episode on this platform that you're listening on, but we also have our premium content, which is a very affordable subscription where you get the behind the scenes clips of April and I just having some conversations with each other.
Whatever the fuck we want.
Sometimes we have guests. We had our naked landlord on there recently. So go to shamelesssex.com and you can figure out all the ways to sign up or just look in the show notes for this. And we love you. If you have not reviewed us, please do. We love 5 stars. If you're upset about something, you can always just email us and we can just actually, like Darshana said, talk to each other like humans.
If you're upset at us, just don't. Just go run. Go jog.
We also are open to receiving.
We want constructive feedback.
Yeah, we're open to it. Totally. Yeah, we are open to it. But if you're being an asshole, then you're just an asshole. And there's only one asshole in the room, and that's you. So we love you very much. And we will see you next Tuesday. Ciao for now. To learn more, go to shamelesssex.com.
And for 15% off some of our favorite sex toys, use code SHAMELESSSEX at purepleasureshop.com.